Before the break, we asked if brainy people aren't as happy as their dim-witted peers. The answer is true.
Yep, that is true. Sociologists reckon bright kids tend to be isolated at school because other pupils don't like them, and as a result, they don't mature emotionally at the same rate as everyone else, and because of that, they find it difficult to make friends later in life. Still, at least they got their books for company, eh? Yeah.
Lisa Jill.
Huh? Why not? Rouse Party, excellent. Really. This is the sequel. Anyway, you're watching Thursday's Right Stuff. We've got Carol Malone, Terry Christian and actress Lysette Anthony here. Lysette's currently starring with Joe McGann in No Expense Spared at London's Jermyn Street Theatre. But we've got her here now, and good, because after the next break, we're going to find out how often she washes.
It's Scratch TV, folks.
Is once or twice a day once or twice too often? 0207 173 5555 is the number for your calls, you dirty lot. But just before we find out if Lysette is right about intelligence being overrated, it's all hanging on her, let's talk about whether or not this lady with learning difficulties should be forced to have medical treatment against her will.
Sure, we've had loads of emails on this. The first one I have is from Emma, and she said, I think it's terrible that doctors took a woman to court to give her treatment. They should take permission from her next of kin if she is incapable of making the decision.
But we don't know about that, so...
We don't know her situation. The next one is from Chris. She should be interviewed by someone not involved in her treatment to see if she understands the consequences of her actions.
Yep. Okay.
And then finally one from Ronnie. If she has the operation, what happens if she doesn't survive the op or there are complications? Given that she has had the operation against her will, would the doctors or consultants then be liable?
It's really interesting. And nobody's raised the issue about the unfortunate thing that her acronym is PS, which makes it sound like she's just an afterthought?
No.
No? OK. Time lag. Laugh, right on cue. Fantastic. So, who else, other than Lysette, thinks intelligence is overrated? Who needs to be bright when there are heaps of other fabulous virtues to develop, all of which might get you further in life? Who needs to be clever if you're sly? Last week we heard how children who lie go on to be more successful in life than those who speak only the truth. Why? Because fibbers think better on their feet and they're better at dealing with problems. They have to juggle lots of mental balls. What about brawn? Can the benefits of physical strength outweigh brain power? I mean, look at that meathead Phil Mitchell in EastEnders. He's acquired businesses in half the square through his bully boy tactics. What do you mean it's only a soap opera, it's not real life? Shut up. Brains aren't doing our graduates any favours at the moment. Fewer than 40% have got a job, of recent graduates that is. 1 in 6 wishes they'd never bothered going up to university in the first place. As I've mentioned once or twice this morning, Lysette is convinced intelligence is overrated. But before she tells us why, I should remind you how attitudes have changed, because 25 years ago, most young people aspired to be doctors and lawyers. Today, they want to be famous. No brains required to be a good singer, or indeed a bad one. Right, Cheryl? Oh, she's watching. So why have you got such a downer on intelligence? Why did a journalist once think you had such a downer?
Being an older mother, the one thing that I want to pass on to my son before I die next week is that the quest for intelligence and the quest for learning and the quest for life is all about... It's about knowledge, and I just cannot understand this conversation at all.
But brainy people don't necessarily go as far in life.
Yes, but that's about not being socialised. If you've got some kid like nerdy, but if you're going to... That's about teaching them how to...
But that's because they're rejected.
People get very jealous of them. I mean, you know, remember Tony Wilson, Anthony H. Wilson?
Yeah.
Fantastic broadcaster, really intelligent bloke. You never saw him on national TV doing a show or anything like that, because
it's not about
people
being on
frightened
telly,
of him.
it's about
No, I'm talking about
yourself.
people used to feel quite intimidated by his intelligence.
But it is interesting that the most successful people, the richest people, tend not to be people with, you know, a first-class economics degree. They who read proofs. They tend to be the people who, everything you said before, wily, they have nous, they have courage, they have tenacity. They're the ones who actually go for stuff, and they're, you know...
Depends what we mean by successful, doesn't it? Do we judge a man successful success? Do we judge success by someone who's accrued a lot of wealth, or do we judge success as someone who knows everything there is to know and lives in a tiny little rundown hovel surrounded by torn-up packets of pizza box?
Well, I know the kind of life I'd like to lead, but it's not even about being rich. It's about going for what you want. And I think people who have all these things like nous and courage, they go after what they want in a way that maybe someone who's incredibly clever wouldn't have the courage to.
We are living in an era, though, I think, where the lowest common denominator is not only becoming more common, it's becoming much lower. Yes. And, people who are intelligent pretend to be less intelligent than they are. I mean, even Gordon Brown in the leader debates, he starts talking about the, X factor.
Incredibly intelligent man, we kept reading about Gordon Brown.
Yeah, but he feels like he's got to mention the X factor to be in with the people. It's like, if you're watching some science programme about quantum physics, some TV exec will feel the need to, let's get Joanna Lumley to, present it, and she'll be going, oh, the Hadron Collider. It's like a big, it's like a big spin dryer, really. But do you know what I mean?
Don't you think that really highly intelligent people, I think that kind of intelligence is isolating, and I think when you were a kid at school and you are one of those children who was, a semi-genius, the other kids don't like you.
About me again.
No, Terry, I'm so not talking about you.
But it's true, and that's what you said at the beginning. The other kids isolate you, possibly because their parents have poisoned them against brainy... I don't know. Let's throw it open to you guys at home. Kirsty, what do people say?
OK, first we have Jenny on line 1.
Jenny, good morning.
Good morning.
Is intelligence overrated?
Absolutely, definitely. The reason I say that is...
Go on.
My sister's 2 years older than me, went off to university, did all that, got a job, obviously 7 years after me.
Yeah.
I got 1 O-level, went out to work. When I stopped working to have children 9 years ago, I was actually earning more than she was.
But do you judge success in life by how much you earn?
I think it's a lot of things.
I can see Terry nodding. And is that because
no, I mean, I'm just saying people do nowadays. That's why intelligence
people
is
do, but just because people do, as I often point out, just because lots of people do something doesn't make it right. Lots of Germans used to goose step down, and Nazism was very popular in Germany. It wasn't right. Britain's Got Talent... Britain Exploits the Mentally Challenged. I almost slipped up there. That is a hugely popular show, doesn't make it right. Just because we judge everything by money, I mean, you've got to remember that money, fortunes we made in the past, it was brains that moved society forward.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
OK.
Although my next book that I'm doing is going to be a colouring one. Seriously.
Jenny, thank you. It is fascinating, though, how we judge success. That's kind of at the crux of all this. Kirsty.
OK, we have Patricia next on line 2.
Patricia, good morning.
Good morning, Matthew.
Is intelligence overrated?
No, I don't. First of all, I don't think it's fair to equate intelligence with kindness, because you can be intelligent and kind.
Sure.
It's unintelligent.
I guess what I'm saying is whether or not you should encourage your child that the number one thing they should go for is to develop their brain, or perhaps the number one thing they should develop is muscle or coolness or kindness or anything.
I think your intelligence is what you have. Education teaches you to use it, right?
OK.
And we need all sorts of people in life, right? We don't. I mean, to me, all people are important in what they do. I mean, like, for instance, a person who sweeps the road doesn't necessarily have to be intelligent, but they're much more important to the planet as far as cleanliness is concerned than perhaps a market researcher.
Yes, you're right.
Who is probably in the work they do more intelligent. So
absolutely.
We need all sorts of people in life, and they're all important. And you've got many working class people unemployed, as well as university education.
That is true.
One of the big ones for me is, like, if you're going to go in and have brain surgery, would you want some really intelligent bloke with a scalpel, or a half-wit waving a knife around? Right?
That's a very stupid
You decide. You decide.
Britain's Got Cutlery.
Can you just tell by the way they're waving the blade around? Oh, my God, I got the half-wit.
Intelligence is everything.
Actually, that is, when you think about it, when we always say our health is the most important thing, and when it comes to having, when you are sick, you'd want the very finest brains around, wouldn't you, looking after you?
But Patricia was fantastic. Exactly.
Absolutely. 101%.
A brain is what you're born with, education is what you get. I mean, that's perfect.
Absolutely. OK, let's move on to our final talking point of the day, and that is, how often do you wash? Most of us, I reckon...
Like anyone's going to tell the truth.
Go on, you can stick your nose completely under if you want. You won't. I don't smell. Most of us, I reckon, would say someone...
Shame, Matthew.
And actually, I don't wash very often with soap. I dodge soap, I like water. Anyway, most of us, I reckon, would say someone who only washes once a week is disgusting. But I know of at least one doctor who would disagree. They would say that we damage our immune system by washing too often. Maybe a little bit of dirt is good for us after all. So, how often do you freshen up? 0207 173 5555 is the number. Dial it and we'll have a chat after this break.
According to some hygienists, how often should we wash? Once a day, twice a day, or twice a week? Find out after the ads.